Welcome to this video about how to navigate the Module 1 workbook. The intent of this video is to show you how to navigate between the different worksheets, how to use the buttons, whether you are in presentation mode or in the developer mode, and to provide a glimpse into our training philosophy, which is our show, tell, do method. Also, it is to show you what is required and expected of you for completion of this module and how to perform these tasks. Today, we're going to be looking at how to navigate the modules that you'll be taking these trainings in. So once you've downloaded this workbook from Tableau Server and you open it on desktop, I want you to navigate to where you'll see this Module 1 table of contents. It's going to look very similar to this screen that we see here. A couple things I want to point out. Notice it'll tell you what the module is about. There will be a learning objective here. And then we're going to get into the actual kind of bones of the module and what we are learning. So each of the modules is going to be split up where we're going to teach you some basics about visualizations, whether that's bar charts, line graphs, area charts, crosstabs, things like that. So we're going to teach you how to create those things first. And we're always going to teach it in this way of we're going to show you how to do it. So there'll be a video. We're going to tell you how to do it. So there's going to be a completed visualization with the step-by-step guide of how it was made. And then we're going to expect you to go and do and create that same visualization. So there's kind of this show, tell, do track, if you will, for each one of our visualizations. So you can see here that we have our 4 Module 1 components: basic bar charts, stacked bar charts, grouped bar charts, and then our KPI or key performance indicator. So each one of these has a video attached to it. And you can use these buttons to navigate. Tableau Desktop is a little bit weird. If you're in the design mode, which I'm currently in, you can tell you're in design mode because you can see kind of our different buttons up here. End users typically don't get to see these buttons when it's in presentation mode. So if you're in design mode, like I currently am, if you want to use these buttons, it's really important that you realize you have to hold the Alt key down on your keyboard. And then if you hold Alt on your keyboard, then when I click each one of these buttons, that's when Tableau is actually going to make the button work. The reason Tableau does that is I want to be able to edit or change the button. I need to be able to click on it without it always taking me somewhere else. So to use the buttons to navigate in this page, remember you always want to hold Alt down on your keyboard, and then you can click the buttons. If you don't want to do the Alt route, one thing you can do is up here towards the top, we have our presentation mode. So if I click presentation mode, notice Tableau is going to create this kind of a full screen effect here. In presentation mode, I don't have to hold Alt down. I can just click the button and it's going to take me somewhere else. So in that presentation mode, I can just click and then it will take me where I need to go. So notice each one of our concepts here has a video attached to it. Then there is a tell part where we list out the instructions step by step of how to create the visualization up at the top. Within each one of these screens, I can also navigate to the next component. So let's say I'm here on the tell part where I've given you the kind of the hands-on step-by-step instructions. So now you're like, okay, I feel pretty good. It's time for me to go make a stacked bar chart. That's when you would come up here and you're going to click on the do stacked bar chart. Now, when you click on this screen, this is going to take you to an actual worksheet where you get to create something. So I can't actually do anything. Remember, this is in presentation mode. So I can't do anything in presentation mode as far as creating something. So when you get to the do parts of each one of these components, you're going to want to make sure you're not in presentation mode. And you can do that either by hitting escape on your keyboard, or there's a button down here that says escape or exit presentation mode. Notice the do screen here is our normal worksheet view where I have my rows and column shelves. I've got the marks card, and we have our caption over here. Inside my caption, these are going to be those same step-by-step guides that we saw on our tell screen. So in here, this is where we actually want you to come in and start creating something. So I would look at my caption here, and I'm just going to go through these steps. So remove the blue pill from the row shelf. That's this guy here. So I'm just going to take this and remove it. From the data pane, drag measure values to the column shelf. So I come over here to my data pane, find measure values, and then I bring it out here to my column shelf. So these steps are going to guide you to create that exact same bar chart that we just saw on the previous screen. If we get lost, what we can do is we can look back through our steps here, or I can always navigate back to my TEL stacked bar chart, and I can look at what was created for me, and then I can read through the steps and make sure that I'm following them exactly. If I'm still stuck, what I can do is I can navigate here. Notice I'm holding Alt down on my keyboard. I can navigate back to the video that's going to show me how it was created. So we've tried to embed some of these kind of, we've embedded ways for you to visually see how someone does it, to hear how someone does it, to read how someone does it, and then give you a chance to actually try and do it. One unfortunate thing, because we are in a worksheet here, worksheets do not give you buttons that can navigate you back to dashboards. That's why I want to point out that we do have our tabs down here. So you can also navigate with the tabs. You'll notice the tabs are going to be color coordinated. So the pinkish red ones here, these are going to be all of our stacked bar chart, show, tell, and do's. Next to that, we have this brownish one. Those are just our regular bar charts. And then if I scroll down here, there's little arrows that I can use to navigate through my tabs. I see that I have grouped bar charts and then finally KPIs. I'm going to go ahead and come back all the way to our Module 1 table of contents. Once I get back here, I'll talk a little bit more about this screen. So let's say you've gone through your basic bar charts, stacked bar charts, grouped bar charts, and you've done your KPI. You've watched the videos, you've read through the instructions, and actually done the hands-on component. Then we're going to move on to what we would call the design portion. So not only are we going to teach you how to do these specific visualizations, we're then going to talk about some visualization best practices and some design techniques that we can embed in our visualizations so that not only am I learning how to do these visualizations, but I'm learning how to do them well and getting them production ready. The design portion is going to be very similar, where I have the show, the tell, and then the do. And again, to navigate, remember I can be in presentation mode and I can click on those. Or if I don't want to be in presentation mode, I can hold Alt on my keyboard and click on those buttons. But again, it's going to show us kind of the completed product and then the list of the steps that were used to make it. Come back here to our table of contents. One thing I do want to talk about with our hands-on portion for the design, I'm going to go ahead and hold Alt and go to my bar design. This is the exact same screen we would see when we go to create the initial basic bar chart. Over here in our caption where I listed the steps of how to create the bar chart, underneath this, we also have the steps of how to update the design elements. So what we're going to have you do is you're going to create the bar chart, then moved on to the stacked bar chart, grouped bar charts, KPIs, etc. And then when we come around to the design portion, we're going to have you come back to the bar chart that you've already made, and then we're going to have you update it. So you won't be creating two different sets of visualizations. Instead, you will create the visualization once, and then when we learn the design components, you're going to come back to that same one and then update it. So don't forget, in your captions over here, I can scroll, and in that scrolling is where I'm going to see all of those design steps. Back on our table of contents here, in order to actually pass the module, so you've designed your 4 different visualizations, you've learned how to make them. Now what we're going to do is we're going to incorporate them into a dashboard. Now for some of you, this might be the first time you've ever created a dashboard. That's fine. We kind of expected that. So we're going to have a video in here of how do we make a dashboard? Like, what do those steps look like? And so you'll come in here, you'll create that dashboard. Once you've created the dashboard, and as you're creating it, we have our feedback rubric. So this feedback rubric is really going to be how you're, quote unquote, graded on your dashboard. Notice we're not really checking things to harp on it or to judge you. Instead, what we're doing is we're just looking to see if it has the elements that we've taught you about in this module. So the person who's going to be providing the feedback or reviewing your module, they're going to be looking at this rubric and they're just going to be looking at the dashboard you create and they're going to say, does it have a KPI? Does it have a bar chart, stacked bar chart, and a grouped bar chart? Are the titles informative? Are the colors applied, consistently across the board? Have you gotten rid of all the chart clutter or chart junk? We wanted to put this here because it's helpful if you start with the end in mind. So we're kind of putting that gold standard in front of you, saying this is what you're going to be critiqued on, so that way you can use that as a guide when you're creating your dashboard. Once the dashboard's completed, and before anyone can review it, you then need to publish it back up to Tableau Server. And again, you might think, I don't know how to do that. That's okay. We have a video that's going to show you how to publish reports to Tableau Server. And then once that report's on Tableau Server, we then are going to need you to share that with your reviewer so that they can get in there, look at your dashboard, and then sign off on it. An important thing to note is that you cannot pass or move on from this module until you've gotten a yes or a Y here on every single one of the requirements for the dashboard. At this point, that's the flow of our Module 1 workbook. Like I said, there's multiple ways to navigate through it. You can use the individual buttons, you can use the tabs. It's really up to you and your preference. I would encourage you, get in, learn what you can. Remember, Tableau does have resources online, so if you do get stuck or you're curious about things, you can always look for other answers or different answers or different techniques online. And I would encourage you, when you do get to these do portions, to experiment with those, try different things. Obviously, we want you to create the bar chart that we've asked you for, but it is your learning, and we do learn when we experiment things and we try and we create things. So this is kind of the minimum of what we're looking for. I would encourage you, though, to get in there and play around and really try to get a feel for what Tableau can do. In summary, you have learned how to use the different buttons or tabs to navigate the workbook. You understand the flow of the module and the topics using our show, tell, do method, and you are clear on what is expected of you to complete this module and where to find all of this information on the Module 1 Table of Contents page. We hope this video has been informative and that it has taught you about how to navigate and use this module so you can be successful in your own data visualization journey.